Okay, Grace, how do fish breathe underwater?
Fish breathe underwater because their gills bring in water, which the air, water, and yeah.
Is that it?
Yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Fish get the oxygen they need by extracting it from the water. Most sharks swim constantly. Swimming plus the opening and closing of the mouth forces water through the mouth, over the gills and out through the gill slits. When caught in fishing nets, sharks cannot swim to force the water in and therefore they drown. Every gill lies in its own chamber, and each gill chamber opens to the outside by a separate gill slit. Most bony fishes have a more efficient mechanism to bring in water to the gills. The gills on each side share a common gill chamber, which opens to the outside through an opening on each side of the head.
Structure of the gills. Fish gills are supported by bony structures, the gill arches. Each gill arch bears 2 rows of slender, fleshy projections called gill filaments. Gill rakers project along the inner surface of the gill arch. They prevent food particles from entering and injuring the gill filaments, or may be specialized for filtering the water in filter-feeding fishes. Gas exchange. Oxygen dissolved in the water diffuses into the capillaries of the gill filaments to oxygenate the blood. Diffusion will take place only if oxygen is more concentrated in the water than in the blood. As oxygen diffuses from the water to blood in the capillaries, the amount of oxygen in the water decreases and that in the blood increases. This could reduce the efficiency of gas exchange, which depends on the water having more oxygen than the blood. Gas exchange in the gills of fishes is highly efficient. The surface areas of gills is greatly increased by laminae, and the flow of water through them is in the direction opposite to that of the blood. Once oxygen enters the blood, it is carried through the body of the hemoglobin, a red protein that gives blood its characteristic color. Regulation of the internal environment. In contrast to the most marine organisms, the blood of marine bony fishes is less salty than seawater. As a result, they lose water by osmosis. To replace lost water, they swallow seawater. Seawater contains excess salts, some of which pass straight through the gut without being absorbed. Salts that are absorbed are excreted by the kidneys, the most important excretory organs of the vertebrates, and specialized chloride cells in the gills. The cartilaginous fishes use a different approach to salt balance. They reduce osmosis by increasing the amount of dissolved molecules, or solids, in their blood, making the blood concentration closer to that of seawater. The amount of the urea in the blood is controlled by the kidneys. In most animals, urea is toxic and is excreted, but sharks and other fishes excrete only small amounts. They retain most of the urea in their blood. Their gills help in this process by blocking the loss of urea. Marine fishes keep a constant internal environment and check water loss through the osmoregulatory activities of the kidneys, gills, and other mechanisms.
Okay, Grace, why do fish migrate?
Fish migrate because they follow the food, and yeah, that's mostly what I know.
Is that it?
Yes.
You sure?
Behavior. Nearly all aspects of the lives of fishes involve complex behavior to adapt to light and currents, to find food and shelter, and avoid predators. Behavior is also an important part of a fish courtship and reproduction. Territoriality. Many marine fishes, particularly open water species, do not reside in any particular area. Fishes use a variety of aggressive behavior to defend their territories. Actual fights are surprisingly rare. Instead, fishes usually prefer to avoid risky injury by bluffing. Raised fins, an open mouth, a rapid darting about are examples of such threatening postures. Territorial defense may also involve sound production. Some solitary individuals defends a territory. Territories may also be inhabited by groups that belong to the same species. Schooling. Many fishes form well-defined groups or schools. Some, including herring, sardines, and mullets, and some mackerel, school through their lives. Others are part of schoolers, especially as juveniles or during feeding. It has been estimated that around 4,000 species, including both marine and freshwater species, school as adults. Schools can be huge, as large as 4,580 million. The members of a school are typically all about the same size. The stationary schools that are common around coral reefs, kelp beds, rocks, and shipwrecks may include members of different size or even different species. Schools function as well-coordinated units though they appear to have no leaders. The individual fishes tend to keep a constant distance between themselves, turning, stopping, and starting in a near-perfect unison. Vision plays an important role in the orientation of individuals within the school. One explanation is that schooling offers protection against predation. Migrations. Other fascinating aspects of the behavior of marine fishes is migration. Many open water fishes migrate several hundred meters up and down the water column every day. Most spectacular migrations are the transoceanic journeys made by tunas, salmon, and other fishes. After several years at sea, a period of characteristic of each species, salmons mature sexually and start migrating into rivers. They are probably guided at first by the Earth's magnetic field. They do not feed once they...
As in the picture, the skipjack tuna undertakes extensive migration that every year take it almost halfway across the globe. The Pacific salmon migrates to spawn only once in a lifetime. Approximate limits of distribution and migration routes indicate are for all 7 species of salmon. The journey of the Pacific salmon, such as these soaky salmon, in an ambiguous one indeed. The fish have to swim far upstream, often leaping over ramps and waterfalls. May fall prey to hungry predators or to nests and lines of fishers. Salmon find their home streams with a remarkable accuracy using a type of chemical memory. One of the biggest hazards Pacific salmon endured is the destruction of the natural environment by humans. Migration routes have been blocked by dams, spawning grounds filled with silt as a result of logging and cattle grazing, and rivers polluted by pesticides, which among other toxins affects all specific of distributing salmon's sense of smell. Also fertilizers and animal waste too.